All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get airborne. Day 2 of our full throttle, full week of live trading and training. Welcome aboard the primary live trade brief. Got a good crowd in here. Like I said, this is the first full throttle in 10 years. I've actually limited the number of folks who can register just because I want to focus on the quality here, man. Usually it's an absolute zoo in the chat box. There's another reason, as you're going to find out tomorrow, that we limit our membership. We only do this a couple times a year because we focus on quality over quantity, and really looking forward to today. Let me cover some quick administrative items. Did everybody get a copy of the sit rep today? I think today's sit rep was about 13 minutes. Please make sure you're getting that sit rep. It's free, even if you don't become a member here at Top Gun Options. A lot of good content in there. And commentary. If you didn't get it, you need to make sure you're on the sit rep list. Like I said, free, completely on me. Cover some trades sometimes in there, but it's kind of a quick SOT, strategic, operational, and tactical brief. So all you need to do to register for that is go.topgunoptions.com. /sitrep. Scott, do me a favor. Everybody, you need to go check in your spam. And it's interesting because some folks said, hey, I stopped getting my sit rep, and they've been getting them for ages. If you don't click on it, folks, you know what the all-seeing Google does? It starts putting it into spam. So if you didn't get it, I guarantee it's most likely in your spam. Okay, so make sure you go check out your spam and click like safe or something like that to make sure you are receiving that, because it did broadcast. It went out to like 98,000 people. So thanks, Kevin. Yeah, a lot of kind words about today's sit rep. LeBron James is a human piece of excrement, and just about every other person in the NBA is as well. So yeah, got a little political in that, shocker, but it's absolute disgrace. Disgusting human beings care more about the dollar than they do democracy. I mean, LeBron James is a fraud anyway. He's a hypocrite. He's what I call a limousine liberal. All right, so the replay page. This one's pretty easy. It's go.topgunoptions.com/replay. Check out what's on the page right now. It's our replay from last night, our welcome aboard brief. See a lot of new faces in here, and so that means maybe you didn't make it last night. So last night we knocked out our first brief of our full throttle week. Kind of a welcome aboard. It's aftermarket close, obviously. My background, the background of Top Gun Options, and more importantly, the methodology that we use to trade here. We're going to do this afternoon. We're going to get SOT, man, strategic, operational, and then tactical, and then we're going to use our proprietary 7-step trade plan that I briefed last night. So that is where the replays are. Today's replay will be posted on here as well, so you can watch that again in case you miss anything today, or if you need to bail out. Same link all week, and then go to webinar. Hey, do me a favor, current members, as we go through positions today, do me a favor like you usually do. I know you guys are great about doing this. Harry, Arthur, Diane, Tamara, Robert, all these guys, Karen, do me a favor and share your personal success stories with these positions. I don't get filled on everything. You guys don't get filled on everything, but do me a favor and I'll share it with the current folks. I'm not a super big testimonial guy, but if you guys kind of let other folks know, and it'll be good to go. All right. Let's get press here. Reminder about the flight schedule. We knocked out our welcome aboard brief last night. Right now, you're sitting in the primary live trade brief. I'm going to do a strategic and operational brief. We'll get tactical by looking at current positions. Remember, at Top Gun Options, folks, we operate on Lombardi time. Well, it's actually military time. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. So when you logged in this afternoon, you saw my trading screen. I already was filled on 2 trades. I sent out one of them via text and email, and I also had close Raytheon on the screen as well. That was a nice $2,600 gain. 80% profit in 1 week on Raytheon. So we're going to cover Raytheon again here in a little bit and staying bullish on that. Obviously, with everything that's going on, unfortunately, in Syria and over there in Saudi Arabia. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, accelerated retirement. That portfolio is a little bit more conservative, but to be honest with you, based on the past I don't know, 8 months to a year of just a tactical market, it really is hard to go out into the future a couple years and get bullish in some names. We're going to talk about CSX, our transportation stock that we actually absolutely ditched because there ain't no way in God's green earth Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Trump are going to get in the same room and talk about infrastructure. Alan, no, and we have over 1,000, actually, I stopped at 1,000. We had like 1,010 and I closed it. And go to webinar, folks. I can see the chat. You guys can't. Usually in our member briefs, we're in go to training because it's under 200. I think our biggest service, Solo Amazon's got like 195 people. We're getting close to having to move rooms. But so no, that's what I'm saying. So my current members, when they post some testimonials about positions, I'll take a screenshot and show you guys. So tomorrow afternoon, the biggest thing is we're opening 50 slots, only 50, not 51. It's funny, throughout the years, people have called like a week later, like, hey, I'm ready to, and it's like, well, maybe we'll see you in about 2 or 3 months for our next full throttle. We'll take 50, we'll close the doors, and we'll get airborne with or without you. Tomorrow night, I'm going to give you a sample of the training you get here at Top Gun Options, and you want to attend tomorrow night or watch the replay because I'm going to cover what I call a tredge. It's a trade that also serves as a hedge. Thursday, we're going to do a weekly debrief and take a look at the trades across the portfolios. And then Friday, we're going to wrap everything up with a brief on weekly options. They're very tactical trades. I did the members only weekly options brief yesterday afternoon. And then if we have any annual slots that aren't filled, I will open up some monthly slots for those of you who want to kind of kick the tires for a couple months and check out what we do here. Welcome aboard the Primary Live Trade Brief. We're going to go for about an hour and a half. So weekly options on Mondays, about 30 minutes. Today, Primary Live Trade Brief, about an hour and a half. Each one of these live briefs has kind of a different time schedule. This one's a little bit more thorough and big picture. And this is some good stuff. So already kind of knocked out some admin items there, so we'll move on. I'm going to give you an SOT. In the Primary Live Trade Brief, we trade kind of the front months. What's the front month? You're sitting in it, right? October, November, December. And we can also trade some leaps all the way up to about 2 years out in the future. But like I said, it's a little harder taking a look at leaps right now when you don't even know if we're going to be around in 2 years. We're going to review existing trades, current positions. As I said, I'd close that Raytheon bull put spread. How many of you would love to have made $2,600 in a week? That is 1 year. You ready for this? One trade, 1 week in this portfolio, paid for an annual membership here at Top Gun Options. And that's on limited risk. That wasn't, risking a ton of money. I'll show you the trade in a couple minutes. And then we're going to take a look at some volatility trades today. I'm already filled on a bear call spread on China, and I'm also filled on a one-day tactical trade on the S&P 500. Do not believe this rally that is going on today. It's a short squeeze, and it's a rally on nothing. Diane, I did. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Diane. So we have a lot to cover today. And like I said, current members, do me a favor and chime in where you can to let other potential members know how you're doing. All right, attention to brief. Make sure you silence all your distractions. That electronic nicotine. We talked last night about how good we've done celebrating our 10-year anniversary next month. 80% average annualized return in all market conditions with limited drawdowns. We traded lights out last quarter. If that looks insanity to you, we love insanity here at Top Gun Options. That means it's a target-rich environment. We absolutely love the volatility here. 92% win rate, man. My average in 27 years is around a 70 to 72%. Last quarter was 92. Look at this. This was like shooting fish in a barrel, man. Implosion, get long, explosion, get short. This was awesome. Absolutely loved it. And October is obviously starting off to be the same thing here. Last quarter, our volatility trades alone, look at that, VXX and VIX right there, man, about $23,000 in the primary portfolio, just trading volatility, man. And it's so funny when, you bring up volatility at a cocktail party and you sound smart. It ain't tough. When volatility is cheap, we're going to talk about volatility right now with this rally. Volatility is getting smashed back down to where it was in August. Has anything changed since the beginning of August when we had that epic volatility? No, it's actually gotten worse. So when volatility is cheap, folks, what do? Say it with me. You buy it. When it's expensive, you sell it. Right. So it absolutely is the quiet before the storm. The S&P 500, look at how we traded that last month, about 25 grand with SPX. And I think I had some SPY puts on about what, $27,000 just in S&P 500 profits there. Let me show you. We don't all have winning trades here. It's not all any. You ever go to one of these things and the dude or the lady talks about just all these winning trades? Run as quick as you can because a fool and their money are soon parted. CSX. 2 years ago, we had a Gordon Gekko moment. I was looking to get into a transport stock because I knew Donald Trump, Mr. Concrete, Mr. Construction. He loves building. That's his stuff. Like he said, I'm an infrastructure guy. So unfortunately, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, the CEO of CSX died unexpectedly. What happened? Stock went down 5% because they didn't have an immediate successor. Using my Gordon Gekko moment, I'm like, getting in, nothing's changed. The company's still solid. We had a great 40% climb in CSX since we got into it. Why'd I bail out of it recently? My God, folks. Does everybody remember? Seems like ages ago when Nancy Pelosi, on the way to her, limo to go to an infrastructure meeting at the White House, mentioned in passing to reporters like, well, the president's a criminal and should be impeached. She gets to the White House expecting like a hug and a kiss from the president. He walked in the room and said, just saw what you said on TV, get out. Ain't no way in hell. If you want to try and impeach and investigate for years instead of legislating, we're done. And then Nancy and Chuck rushed back to have a press conference and talked about the president's temper tantrum. Why am I getting at this? Because that's when I said, what did I teach you last night? Commit criteria. Step 3 of our trade plan is, why are we committing capital to get into this trade? One of in my leather over in the corner, in my leather trade journal, 2 or 3 of those sentences as to why we got into CSX were no longer valid. You take the emotion out of it and you eject and get out of the trade. I didn't sit there and say, oh, well, it's going to come. No, it's not going to come back. Welcome to the next year and a half of your life, folks. There will be nothing done on Capitol Hill. So we bailed out of our infrastructure stock. It was still net overall for a profit, but in the third quarter it was down that much. So always got to talk about the losses. Ain't nobody perfect, but that should show you the discipline. When the reason you got into something isn't valid anymore, what are you doing in it? That's the emotional part. I'm going to teach you not to be an emotional trader. Right. And finally, we also were trading the hell out of China and Brazil. Good looking trades as well there. You guys know me. If you don't know me by now, watch the replay from last night. Went from the cockpit essentially to the trading pit, applying everything I learned flying a fighter aircraft. Got called up to the big leagues, hopped on the other side of the fence, helped run a multi-billion-dollar options vol arb firm, and then started my own company under that company that was essentially the CNBC for options. There's your intro. We're done with it. Okay. Like I said, man, 500 people in here. I'm going to prioritize, folks. I know most of my members. I'm going to prioritize their questions. Why? Because they're in a live trade brief. They paid for this. This is a regular brief. Folks who are relatively new, if I see you're relatively new and it's a great question, I'm going to save it to the end. But just for the sake of the flow of this brief, and this is why we do this, man. There's no better way to see flight operations than to go up on the aircraft carrier flight deck and stand there. So you're going to stand there and you're going to listen and you're going to watch and you're going to get to see what we usually do here at Top Gun Options. Let me put on my cheaters and let's go ahead and get airborne. Man, what a tactical market we really are in here, folks. This is literally, if you don't trade with this up as one of your screens, you're nuts. I mean, I sit here, I have an app on my phone that actually immediately alerts me to when the president sends out a tweet. This is just, it's insanity. And years ago, when I talk about politics in full throttle, some people would be like, I'm out of here. I can't stand your politics. And I'm like, what do you think moves markets, folks? What are you, nuts? It's all politics, from quantitative easing to Russia invading, or the president wanting to destroy Turkey's economy to, interest rate, you name it. It's all politics, folks. Look at China, look at Hong Kong. It's politics. Politics moves the markets, and this guy with a tweet can literally move the markets as well as the Chinese. All right, here we go. Just because the media are not talking about something doesn't mean it's stopped happening. What do I mean by this? I remember back, in the mid 90s, getting shot at over, Operation Southern Watch No Fly Zone or dropping bombs. I'd email home and say, wow, isn't it, you see all that in the news? No, what are you talking about? I mean, what do you mean? Am I talking about? No, we're talking about Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and all sorts of other stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? So this is a whizism you should write down. The market only cares when it cares. Now, some of these whizisms might sound like duh, but think about it. Just because, MSNBC is not covering Iran building a nuke 2 miles underground doesn't mean they don't say, hey, Ahmed, tell the guys, everybody out of the ground, and tell them to go home. Nobody's paying attention to what we're doing. That's not how it works, folks. So that's why I brief you on these issues, so we're ready for when they happen. The lower third of CNBC, like, oh my God, breaking news. I'm like, yeah, we knew about that, and we're making money off of it, right? So on Friday, an Iranian oil tanker got hit by 2 missiles, allegedly, near a Saudi port. Last time I checked, Iranian oil tankers usually aren't anywhere near Saudi ports. So mysteriously, this one was over near a Saudi port. And it was kind of like my older brother when I was growing up. He grabbed my own hand and, stop punching yourself. This was a false flag attack, I can tell you as a matter of fact. As I explained last night, one of the benefits you get with being here at Top Gun Options, I know a lot of dudes, I know a lot of ladies we'll leave it at that. A bunch of them work in alphabet soup agencies. So not only a big Rolodex of people on Wall Street, I get called often, hey man, what's going on, or what do you think is going to happen with these issues? Got to talk Turkey. I get it. What I'm about to tell you should scare the shit out of you. And if excuse my French, shite, but I gotta tell you about this. I've been here. I've been at Incirlik Air Base in Turkey. Does anybody know what is at Incirlik Air Base? 50 tactical nuclear weapons. Over the weekend, state and energy department officials were quietly reviewing plans for evacuating 50 TAC nukes that is stored at Incirlik Air Base. I'm talking slowly because I want that to sink in. I think this is a first, a country with U.S. nuclear weapons stationed in it, literally firing artillery at U.S. forces. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to look at it this way, Erdogan could hold these nukes hostage. You want to talk about a crisis of epic proportions, ladies and gentlemen? This is a NATO ally. Of course, it's not a NATO ally. Turkey is a radical Islamic state. Erdogan is essentially president for life. They should be booted out of NATO and be replaced by Ukraine. But I digress. So, Tom, how can they stop us from bringing them home? With troops. Ladies and gentlemen, Incirlik Air Base isn't Fort Benning, Georgia. If Erdogan wanted it's his country, ladies and gentlemen. That's his air base, technically. We've been NATO out, and we never thought this day would happen. How can he stop us from bringing them home? First of all, if we bring them home, ladies and gentlemen, that more or less ends our partnership in NATO, right? So it's kind of if we bring them home, we really are saying that we're done with Turkey, and this thing is going to get worse. I'm just bringing, and there is a SEAL team that is specially trained for nuclear weapon rescue. This is a lot of them. Mainly, that SEAL team is trained for. This is public. Now you guys can Google this and probably figure it out. For Pakistan, we have forces trained to go into Pakistan within hours and take those nukes. Anyway, Scurvy, you got it, man. How can he keep us from removing them? It's his air base. What if you wake up tomorrow and Erdogan orders 10,000 troops onto Incirlik Air Base? It's his. Now I'm being facetious, pointing out that I'm pretending to be him. But this is, I usually support the president in many areas. This was the dumbest thing I've seen in this man's presidency, and it's ugly. Immediately after doing it, getting blowback from just about everybody on the face of the earth, he tried to do the whole, well, if they do something I don't like, I'm going to destroy their economy. You just told us a couple days ago you're inviting Erdogan to Washington for like a state visit, and now you're going to destroy the man's economy. This was a ready, shoot, aim. Yesterday afternoon, if you didn't see it on the news, Vice President Pence walked out of the White House along with Secretary Mnuchin and said, we're leaving immediately. I think they're in the air. I mean, they're heading to the region to try and calm this down. What does this have to do with trading? Everything. Does everybody remember what happened to the markets the last time the president tried to destroy the lira or whatever the hell it's called? So, strategic, brief. As a general, as the pilot in command of your platform, you have to have situational awareness as to all of these things. I love talking to people who are trading, and I'm like, wow, and oh, by the way, what's in Syria? What's in Turkey? What's in Iraq? Kurdistan, oil, energy. I know we're kind of energy independent. The world ain't. War in this region, ladies and gentlemen, or ethnic cleansing or something like that. The markets don't like this, folks. Okay? So, anyway, Natalia, why is volatility so low? We're getting to that. I'm leading to it, man. This is a brief, right? So this isn't called a long. This is called a brief. So let me get going here. This was just nuts. I saw a clip on this. Pentagon confirms Monbij handed over to Russia as U.S. forces are filmed departing. Here comes Vladimir. There goes Donald. Folks, strategically, at the end of the day, might not mean a ton. But this is an unforced error out of Donald Trump. In the middle of all this impeachment clown carishness, to just do this randomly, and the Pentagon, buddies of mine, more or less, hearing about it on Twitter. We'll keep an eye on this. Trust me, I flew Operation Southern Watch missions in southern Iraq. I had a ton of buddies flying out of Incirlik who did ONW, Operation Northern Watch. Many of my buddies who landed at Incirlik after a no-fly zone to protect the Kurds would watch Turkish F-16s and F-4s taxi out full of bombs and come back empty. You know where they went? They went to bomb and kill Kurds. Absolutely nuts. You want to talk about this stuff over a drink? So at the end of the day, might not mean a lot strategically, but it's not the president's finest hour. China exports tumble as tariffs bite. Shipments to the U.S. slumped nearly 22% in September. Overall exports were down 3.2%. So ladies and gentlemen, Friday, walking around beautiful Norwich University campus, the leaves were changing. My phone blows up. We got a deal in ag products and phase one and all sorts of stuff like this. Sell into it. Sell into this. This is a stupid pop. It's a short squeeze, by the way. Let me explain that to you. Pop through the 50, right? On, hey, they're going to buy agricultural products. Didn't they say that 3 times before? Especially one time when Vice Premier Lee Hu was sitting across from the president's desk and said, no, we're buying ag products. They didn't buy one soybean. But this time they're going to, right? So the market, this was a short squeeze. A lot of people were saying, all right, we're going to head back down to the 50. So today what happened? Well, yesterday was a blip in the middle here. Happy Indigenous Slaughter Peoples Day if you're a liberal. What happened today? JP Morgan, great earnings, market rally. Did anybody see Wells Fargo City or Goldman Sachs? Goldman Sachs was probably the worst earnings report I've ever seen out of that thing. Did anybody listen to Jamie Dimon on his call? JP Morgan. Does everybody know what FIC is? JP Morgan jumps on FIC revenue surge, fixed income, currency, commodity trading. So they popped on trading. But did you listen to his outlook? His outlook could have not been more bearish with the trade war and uncertainty and all sorts of stuff. So don't give me this markets popping on JP Morgan beat. Goldman Sachs and the other banks that reported today were awful, right? Goldman profit dropped 26%. So everybody who's telling me that the market's higher today on JP Morgan doesn't know what they're talking about. But let me get back to what we're doing here with China. Why would I not believe anything? You know what Beijing said last night? This is comical, folks. Here we go. You ready? Let me click this. Beijing wants tariffs removed before committing to buying one soybean. Let me say this again, but slower. So China yesterday, or 2 nights ago, time difference, China said, hey, we need another round of talks before we sign any phase 1 thing. Remember, folks, Friday, hey, phase 1, we got a deal. 2 days ago, well, we kind of need to talk again, guys, before we sign anything. Last night, Beijing, tariffs removed. Does everybody listen to me? As I told you last night, we're usually early. At Top Gun Options, we're flying a fighter jet. We can maneuver. This market is going down. Why? The market's this guy's Twitter account today is incredibly quiet. Does everybody remember why he left Vietnam 2 days early when he was talking the cream of some young guy? The guy's like, yeah, I'll get rid of my nukes. I said I get rid of the Yang Bong reactor, whatever it was, but you need to remove every sanction. Trump's like, all right, start the airplane up. We're going home. Beijing wants all tariffs removed before they even say they're going to buy an ag product. Ladies and gentlemen, God love the farmers. That's not the biggest issue. They're stealing everything that isn't locked down. So theft of intellectual property. Their companies are sponsored by the state. So theft of intellectual property, government support. We have massive issues with China, and they want all the tariffs removed before they even buy a soybean. This is so sitting here in my bunny slippers, drinking my coffee this morning and reading South China News and a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, looking at the futures. I'm like, what? Usually when I have a furrowed brow and a question mark on my forehead, that means something's about to happen. What's about to happen? The market's going to wake up to this. There's no way the president, who set a record the other day, 56 tweets, they will not sign a phase 1 deal unless he removes the tariffs. I'm saying this slow, folks, because I want this to sink into you. So, Natalia, I wasn't ignoring your question. Why is volatility so low? It ain't going to stay this low, and you need to get bullish on volatility. You need to be. This is why I love this stuff, man. I'm very passionate about what I do because this is how you trade, man, and this is how you do it. When we're sitting here doing an intelligence brief, going, does anybody else see that the Chinese just said we're not doing anything until you remove these? Wow. So, guys, I will. People are asking for vol trades and China trades. Ladies and gentlemen, man, you're not following the brief. Let me remind everybody. So obviously these are new folks. I'm in the middle of a strategic and operational brief, and then we will get tactical and trade. Not done with my brief yet. So all you guys dying for trades, you're a tactical trader. Here we go. So essentially what we got on Friday is a farm package. It wasn't even a trade deal, ladies and gentlemen. And like I told you, folks, Xi Jinping, hate the guy. He's absolutely playing this fantastically. China, I don't even want to talk about LeBron James. I think he's a human piece of feces. Can't stand that guy. I can't stand limousine liberals, right? He's your typical limousine liberal. I'm not going to the White House. The guy's a disgrace and dictator. And I love Xi Jinping. I love China, and it's none of our business. Hail, my dear Chinese communist overlords. Get out of here with your crap. Any attempt to divide our country, what do you mean country? Well, Hong Kong's part of China, that's what Trump said, will end in crushed bodies and shattered bones. Last week, Chief Executive of Hong Kong, Lam, said these are acts of terrorism, which is kind of code word for we're going to send in the military. Wow. So, and I asked some of you last night, and don't expect a risk-on rally, meaning don't expect this pop to be sustained on any short-term deal. And ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a deal. The Chi-Coms are saying, yeah, this whole phase 1 thing, You need to get rid of the sanctions, man. So I hate being this much of a cynic, but if it comes down to, hey, Donald, yeah, it's G. Yeah, we played golf together. Want to play golf again with you? Ah, that's great. I'm going to give you your trade deal. That's fantastic. Tremendous. Nobody does deals better than me. Believe me. But we're also going to steamroll into Hong Kong and absolutely crush it. Now, I took a poll of a lot of you folks last night, and most of you said he'd take the trade deal, which it breaks my heart. But at the end of the day, he can't get a trade deal. Lindsey, Republican, the random thing that we can all agree on, Republicans, Democrats, is if they go Tiananmen Square in Hong Kong, not only will there be no deal, I mean, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell said not only there ain't a snowball's chance in hell of a trade deal, we're going to sanction China officials, government. So this thing, ladies and gentlemen, why did the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor? I'll save you the time. Oil. FDR imposed sanctions against an island nation called Japan and strangled them of oil. They attacked the Pacific Fleet. Great movie coming out midway. We'll have a Top Gun watch party. Was because of what? Oil. So sanctions and these economic wars, folks, can lead to trade wars, folks. Morgan Stanley came out with a note the other day. Morgan Stanley calls it, Friday marked the high level for stocks. Now comes the selling. Now, obviously, there's Friday. There's a little up periscope. But, folks, do not believe this rally, and we're going to talk about selling into it. So I agree with Morgan Stanley. So stocks obviously are higher now because of earnings, but the answer is no, they're not. Goldman Sachs in awful earnings. I've been following Goldman Sachs since it was a private equity firm. Their earnings were awful. So we're popping on JP Morgan's great, but what? That's how you know this is a short squeeze, folks. This isn't to be believed. We sell into these rallies. Okay? 32 minutes. That's pretty good. It's usually about 20, 25 minutes, but we had about 10 minutes of intro. So there's your strategic brief, right? And I appreciate that, Mary. A lot of TGO members are like, dude, we get our news at Top Gun Options. We don't get our news anywhere but TGO. That's why a lot of people like watching those sit reps. That's my daily rant, man. So, all right, now let's start to look at getting tactical here. Okay. You guys still see Trump on the screen? Oh, man, there we go. All right, so quick review. It was just some headlines. The whole Xi Jinping, I'm going to crush bones. Morgan Stanley, Friday marked the high for stocks. Now comes the selling. There's stocks open higher. And then here's JP Morgan. I'm telling you, man, Jamie Dimon, it was a big, remember, folks, earnings are what? They're rearward facing. Earnings already happened. Be present. Namaste, man. Be present. Mindfulness. Be present. What did he say today, just now? Business sentiment's kind of weakening. This trade war's getting worse, and it ain't too rosy out there. So, yay, JP Morgan? Nope. Telling you folks, I've called these short squeezes in the past, and we've been right on every one of these recently. I know nobody. I had a long call with a bunch of hedge fund buddies this morning from we had a Hong Kong, Zero Dark 30, Hong Kong, London, New York. Not one dude or lady that I know is getting bullish up here at record highs. So if everything's fantastic, ladies and gentlemen, where's good jobs numbers? I know the ISM. Where's the ISM? Right here. ISM, PMI, and manufacturing, big misses. And then this was an epic 2 days, right? We imploded for 2 days with weak ISM stuff. And what did I do? I got bullish. We put on a bull put spread and put on a bear call spread on volatility. We made about $6,800 in 2 days. Why? Because I knew after 2 days of bad data, the market was going to rebound on what? Uncle Jerome. Does everybody remember last week? Man, it seems like a year ago or a week and a half ago. The bad ISM numbers, folks. I said, buy into this. Why? Because the market's going to wake up to the fact that Uncle Jerome's going to come in and save the day. Wiz, you need to start your own talk radio show. Your news is the only news I listen to. I'd get banned. I already lost 3 Twitter accounts, folks. Yeah, I'm on my 4th Twitter account. I've been in Facebook jail. My last stint was 30 days. I'm pretty sure YouTube will shut me down, Harry. I appreciate it. All right. So right now, let's get started. Tactical. My strategic mindset as of me sitting here right now is volatile to bearish. We talked about this last night in our academic training. I am absolutely volatile to bearish. I do not believe this rally. I'm selling into it. Okay. Conservative censorship is very real. Roman, you got it. It absolutely is real. And then look at the Project Veritas videos of what's going on at CNN. Just absolute, it's zero. They're not even close to hiding. Well, they try and hide it, but now with the Project Veritas videos, we all know what CNN is. All right, so let's cover existing trades. Raytheon, I would get out of this trade, man. So last week we looked at the 192.5, 190 bull put spread. Okay, we got filled at 92 cents in that trade. And let me scroll down here. This trade was risking $5,300. So here we go. Max. Hold on. I'm going to teach you in a couple minutes that we always look at max potential loss first. This trade was risking $5,500, and right now, well, we'll go take a look at it, but when I posted that on the screen, it was up $2,600. There's your potential profit by Friday, $32.20. So quick, 25, 55 is what percentage of 30? So about 80% profit in a week. And like I said, you're going to find out tomorrow, this one trade paid for an entire year of membership here in Top Gun Options. That's just one of many that we're going to talk about and we're going to cover. Let me cover a couple of things on the screen. First of all, I have an SOP, standard operating procedure, right? My SOP based on a $100,000 model portfolio is I don't want to risk more than 5% on any one trade, which if you're a political science major like me, that's $5,000. Now, in our model portfolios, I think the highest portfolio, I've only deployed about 40 of it. I keep all through my life, I've kept about 50% of my powder dry. So I think it's accelerated retirement tomorrow has about 40 deployed and about 60 sitting there. Now, if you're sitting there like, holy crap, man, I ain't up for, I'm trading a small account. I'm trading a $15,000 account. Folks, you scale the contracts appropriately, right? We'll take a look at a couple new trades. But if I did 35 contracts on this one, man, I only want to risk $1,500. Maybe you do 10, maybe you do 12. Like I said, I can't tell you individually what to do. You guys are getting to eavesdrop on what I'm potentially doing. So you just scale the contracts as appropriately. We have people here with accounts of $5,000. We have 2 billionaires here who have private offices and managers, but they follow. The one guy's like, dude, same type of thing. He's like, I get my news from you, and he kind of plays with his own little trading account. So we have people across the spectrum. So, okay. Bill, my SOP. Yeah. So let me review some things. Outside of 7 days, if I'm seeing a 70, 80, or 90% profit on the credit that I took in, I close the trade. Some of you might be sitting here going, yeah, Wiz, I'm up $2,600 right now, but hey, man, there's $600 more between now and Friday. And you know what happens? Breaking news, like Friday afternoon at noon, Raytheon CEOs on a plane to the Cayman Islands with all the company's cash, stocks down to zero. I'm being facetious, but I'm not. How many times has that happened to you? Yeah, there's about $600 left in here. I'm going to squeeze that out to Friday. And something happens to drive the stock lower. Do not turn a 80% winning trade, in this case, to 100% loser. So inside of a week, inside of 7 days, 4, 5, 6, if I'm seeing a 40, 50, or 60% profit on the credit that I took in, I'd close the trade. So Bill, good job. Bill's like, hey man, it was up 56% in a day after the trade. It was. That's a good catch. Let's talk about Raytheon for a little bit. Why are we in Raytheon? Why do we trade it, folks? Man, it is the defense stock that I love. Boeing, nope. Lockheed Martin, nope. General Dynamics, nope. None of those things, folks. Why do I like Raytheon? I sat behind a Raytheon product for 15 years. Maybe that's why I'm losing my hair. The radar. So the Raytheon makes the guts of a ship, of a plane, of a submarine. So don't buy a ship, a submarine, or an airplane stock. Buy the company that's in it. I used an APG 65 and an APG 73 radar. Raytheon is the guts of this thing. And as you can see lately, you know why Raytheon is? There's the tankers oh no, that was tankers being seized. This was the drone shoot down, and oh, we're going to beat up Iran. There's Trump saying, actually, we're not. Then here's the Saudi Arabia attack, and then we're hanging out here. So Raytheon, I absolutely would, if we have time, maybe I'll do another Raytheon trade. But, we're up here at 201. This bull put spread that I put on last week right here, look at this. What a great trade. So beautiful trade. If we have time at the end, we'll take a look at a new Raytheon trade, or maybe we can do that tomorrow. But we've been printing money in Raytheon. This is a solid defense stock. Now take a look at this chart. 3-month chart here. Looks pretty stable and good, right? Compare that to that. Holy, look at this nuttiness of the S&P 500. Look at Raytheon. It's ignoring all this stuff. I'm going to make another prediction, and I said this last night, between now and the end of the month, October, so next 2.5 weeks, Iran is going to do something big. They seized British tankers, the once fantastic Royal Navy, right? What was the motto of the Royal Navy? The sun never sets on the Royal Navy. They were literally around the globe at one point. And now they struggle to get ships deployed to the Gulf to protect their interests. So they seized tankers. World didn't do anything. Shot down a drone. President, we're locked and loaded. They messed with the wrong guy. And then as he was getting ready to, or we were getting to retaliate, what did he do? He sounded like a stupid, benevolent dictator. I found out just before we were going to strike that maybe 150 people might die. So, that was the guy's starting to lose me, folks. You don't make a market on war. What do I mean by that? He became a market maker. He said one drone equals 150 lives. Ridiculously stupid move on his part. And he made his generals and admirals look stupid. The first slide of any brief on potential military action is what? CDE, collateral damage estimate. That president knew. First of all, what were we going to do? Bomb a school full of kids? No, Mr. President, we were going to attack the air defense site that shot down the drone. I don't want to rant too much about this. And finally, the attack against the oil field in Saudi Arabia is a result of the president not doing anything. I get that he ran on bringing troops home and no endless wars. Let me tell you something, folks. Those days are over with. I have a son who wants to be a Marine and another son who wants to fly for the Navy. No more coming home, folks. People, and my God, this whole Turkey thing, we might have 15,000 ISIS prisoners jailbreak and come and want to kill us. Gone are the days of let's just bring all the troops home, folks. We learned this after 9/11. Do you want to go kill them over there or up in Michigan? So I'm sick of the president doing this whole endless wars thing. Guess what, man? Speaking of drones, let's park drones over known bad guy territories 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't get tired and cranky like me. All they need is fuel, and they can refuel airborne. Start putting bombs into people. We don't need to, quote, bring all the troops home. It's stupid. And he's doing exactly what Barack Hussein Obama did in 2011. I made a campaign promise to get out of Iraq, and I'm doing it. Everybody come home tomorrow. Giant sucking sound as we leave Iraq, giant putting in sound of ISIS. It's insane. The man, he's losing me. All right. All right, so that was Raytheon. What else did we do? Let me go the week before that. So Raytheon, I need to type an update on that page. Yeah, I would close that one out. So this is the member page. So this is our primary live trade brief member page. Let me just update that real quick. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're going to find out tomorrow. $2,600, more or less. You got a year, and if you do the one program, you got a year and a half free membership just on that Raytheon trade. Update 10:15 close. RTN bull put spread at 19 cent for 25.50, 80% profit in 1 week. Okay, let me go back the week before and see if there's anything, any other stuff we have to cover before we take a look at new trades. All right. CJ, why is America is in war all the time? Do we get benefiting of the war? CJ, it's a longer discussion. On September 11th, 2001, when I was supposed to be beginning my new life as an airline pilot, the world changed in the blink of an eye. Dudes, well, first of all, last time George Bush, can't stand the guy. 15 out of 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. The last time I checked, if 15 dudes from a country killed 3,000 Americans, who would you attack? Wouldn't have been Iraq. But why are we constantly in war? Well, maybe, CJ, because people around the world, for whatever reason, hate us and want to kill us. But I thought after 8 years of a Barack Hussein Obama apology tour, bowing to a Saudi king and kissing his ring, going around the world and apologizing for American exceptionalism, I thought people would stop hating and wanting to kill us. No, it made it worse. Trust me. Colin Powell once had a great, it was an offhand comment, but I will never forget it. I think he was at the UN. And somebody was like giving him grief, like, America's an invading country and an aggressive power. He's like, we're not an occupying country. You know how much land we ask for? Only enough to bury our dead who helped liberate your country. So, okay, let's go ahead. What was the week before? Hey, look at this. So last week, that's right. The EWZ. So we, the week before, folks, 2 weeks ago, we did the EWZ bear call spread. And look at this, a volatility bear call spread. Look at this. They both expired Friday for a max profit of $4,350. Look at that. That's a week ago. Menline numbers don't. Look at that. We had a bear call spread on EWZ. You guys know what EWZ is? Brazil. We've been trading Brazil for almost since TGO's been in business, through the World Cup, through the Olympics, through Dilma Rousseff being impeached, through Bolsonaro. So bear call spread on EWZ. Look at this. This trade was risking right around my SOP of $5,300, and that thing expired for a max profit of $22.50. Okay, and VXX. Look at this. This was a bearish trade on volatility. You got bearish on volatility? Yeah, I did. Short term. The 25.5, 26 bear call spread. This trade was risking $5,400 and made $2,100. Let me get a hell yeah. Look at this, man. So 43.50 plus the Raytheon trade. This is the past 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. $6,905. Right? Absolutely incredible. Hank, then Hank, I don't talk about margin because that implies I'm giving you investment advice. You got to pick up the phone and call somebody. If you can't do 150 contracts, you can do what? Do dollar-wide spreads and do 75 contracts. Okay. And remember, folks, let's kind of put on our thinking brains here, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm doing 150 contracts, that's risking $5,200. If you only want to risk $2,500, let me do the math for you. You trade 75 contracts. Wiz, I don't mind risking 10 grand to trade. Well, then you do 300 contracts. You got to use your brains here, folks. You're getting the eavesdrop on what I am potentially doing. Okay, so you'd have to scale your own contracts to to that. So, Rob, asking about commissions. It's another conversation I don't like getting into. I trade commission free at TradeStation because I'm a veteran. Schwab, TD Ameritrade, all these other places are going to zero commission. So the end of these trades costing a couple $100 in commissions is here. Okay, so I'm not going to get into all that type of stuff. So, oh, thanks, Harry, appreciate that. So, Harry's saying TGO is the only place you will be in training and given trades to pay for your membership. This is the real deal. So all good questions, folks. You can talk about all that stuff. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and press here. All right, so that we covered what happened last week. We covered what happened 2 weeks ago. I don't think there's anything from 3 weeks ago. Let me go look, and then we'll take a look at new trades. Oh yeah, good. We had the Raytheon. Oh, this was yeah. Shit, man. Look at. I told you we've been trading lights out. Look at this. So this is the September 24th brief. Awesome session today. Actually historic. Taking $3,000 in one-day profits on FXI and VXX and weekly options, while the Raytheon and Brazil bearish spreads closing in on max profit. Absolutely fantastic. Sweet. All right, so I guess we don't have to go back any further than that. All right, let's go ahead and let's go. All right, so we closed out American Airlines a week and a half ago, folks. Who's asking about American Airlines? Closed that ages ago, man. When that thing, we closed that on the implosion. Right, puts went out worthless, bear call spread. We closed whatever it was, 80% there. Same thing with Delta Airlines, folks. Both of those. All right, so let's go ahead and get going here. Edward, a lot of your trades 1 week expiry. What do you think of 2 week expiry? Ed, let me tell you something. I rarely, we have a weekly option service. I rarely do 1 week trades. But here's the problem, guys. When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like nails. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to shift your tactics you have to trade the market you have, man. So the reason we're doing 1 2 week trades is this. Folks, back when the president first got in office and we had that going on, I was trading months out. I was trading 6 months out, a year out. Right now, baby. We are 1 tweet away from this thing going down, this thing going up. You have to trade tactical right now. So Ed, it's a great question. When you become a member, do me a favor, go back on these member pages and look back to like before August happened. We'd have month out trades. But folks, this is what you're going to learn here. You can't, people who have just one tactic and I only trade, you can't do that, man. I'm going to teach you how to fly and fight. You guys saw some of my ads to get in. I'm going to teach you how to dogfight this market, guys. Kathy and Scott, not going to talk about Amazon. That's a separate service outside of Full Throttle. So if you have any questions on Amazon, you can. Amazon got downgraded today, folks. So we'll talk about that in the solo Amazon service, or you can ask in the Ready Room. All right. Old trades or current trades, done. Let's take a look at new trades. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. So I got filled on both of these. I sent out one via text and email. Let's cover FXI first. Here's the trade that I sent out via text and email. I sent it out to 9,550 people, and I didn't mean to do that. Where is it? So this is what it looks like, okay? At the top of this email alert was what? I actually pasted in the text alert. Right? And folks, if you're 90 people, if you didn't get the text alert, folks, you didn't give us your cell phone number. You see this right here? Optional cell number for trade alerts. If you didn't put your cell number in here, you didn't get the text alert via text. So, all right. So that's wise. But most, like I said, this thing went out to like 9,500 people. I need to talk to support because I didn't mean to. I only wanted to send it to the 1,000 people who registered. Anyway, in the email, so these things fire simultaneously. When I press send, it fires a text alert and it fires an email alert. So there you go. In the email is a screenshot of the trade along with the trade analytics. So you get essentially two redundant systems. You get a text and an email, right? So very, 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 very cool. So there you go. But let's go back to the trade. So here it is. So what is FXI? Let's take a look at this. We've been printing money in FXI. Absolutely love it. It is the iShares China ETF. Let me bring up the chart. So this is the whole, hey, China called. They want to meet in October and maybe talk about some stuff. Hey, China state-run media said expect good things. And nothing. There's Friday. I got a deal, a phase one deal. It's tremendous, beautiful, spectacular deal. Believe me. And then this. Ladies and gentlemen, between now and next Friday, we're going lower. I'm going to brief you again. I hate repeating myself, but I just have to say this more for me. They came out last night and said, no, ain't no phase one, nothing, Donald. We want the tariffs removed before we buy a soybean. Does everybody understand that? So I'm bearish. Step one, yeah, you should have your trade plan out, sit right next to you. Step one, my overall strategic mindset, bearish to volatile. Step two, identify the target. There it is on the screen, FXI. Step three, I just kind of gave you my commit criteria, 3 to 5 sentences as to why I'd commit capital to this trade. The market is eventually going to wake up after it gets done digesting crappy Goldman, but good JP Morgan, weak outlook earnings. This isn't going away. China's sitting here right now going, we don't care about JP Morgan earnings. We're not buying one soybean until you remove the tariffs. The market's going to hear that, folks. I don't know if it's going to be this afternoon or tomorrow. Did the president not hear that? So there's your commit criteria. I believe between now and next Friday, the market's going to wake up to the fact that the Chinese said, F you, we're not buying anything until you remove the tariffs. And oh, by the way, what happens in 2 days? You know what happens in 2 days? A weekend. What's going on this weekend? More Hong Kong protests. And each weekend, it seems to be getting worse. And I love the fact that I saw images in Hong Kong of these freedom protesters burning LeBron James jerseys. Screw that guy. Anyway, so there you go. Tactic, step 4. I'm bearish on FXI out to next Friday. So I'm going to do a tactic called a bear call spread, right? Here's the tactical employment. Here's how we set it up. Step 5, I'm going to look to sell 150 of next Friday's 42 calls. That's me saying, I don't think by next, 42 is right here, man. That's where we topped out last time. That's me saying by next Friday, I don't think FXI is above 42, right? Well, Wiz, what if you're wrong? Donald comes out over the weekend and says, I got a trade deal, man. Well, FXI is going to rally. Between now and next Friday, if there's, quote, good news on trade, FXI could rally. But folks, and you have to learn this discipline. Remember, I just gave you my commit criteria. Between now and next Friday, there's a distinct possibility that we might get something good out of trade. But I'm telling you, by next Friday, I believe that any short-term boost out of FXI will be sold. What's next on the radar, folks? Let me bring it up again. Where's CNBC? You ready? It's not clear whether the additional trade talks would take place in Washington or Beijing. So let me get this straight. Lee Hu hops on an airplane after telling the president, yeah, we're going to buy $50 billion in ag products. Tremendous, huge, can't believe this, fantastic. Tuesday, yeah, we need another round of talks before we agree to phase one. And by the way, you need to lift the tariffs or we're not buying anything ag. So, in this part of the trade plan, we ask what if. Well, the what if in this trade, if something is good, I don't know what it is. So, but in case I'm going to buy these upside calls. So if this thing does, for whatever reason, have a rip your face off rally, I'm hedged with these calls. So I'm bearish or neutral to neutral on FXI. I'm using calls and it's a spread. It is a bear call spread. Now, if you're familiar with options, this is one of those tactics that has a couple names. It's also called a credit spread or a vertical spread. I don't call it that. I call it what it is, the tactical, employment of it. It's a bear call spread, okay? All right, I already took a screenshot of this trade. I got filled at 14 cents. It's down to 12. I already made, what's that, 300 bucks. This trade's already up 300 bucks. But let me go back to 14 cents. Now, for those of you that are new to Topkin Options and checking us out, before I click on this Analyze button, I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun. And I know that's not a pretty visual, but stick with me. I need a ruler. When I click on Analyze, I'm going to have my ruler in my hand. And if you don't look where I tell you to look, I'm going to crack your knuckles like Sister Mary Matthew, which is disturbing. Okay, so I want you to look at the sad face in a couple, not mine. I'm happy, man. I'm having a blast. Love Full Throttle Week. But look at the sad face on the screen. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Max potential loss. Right there. $5,400. Why did I force you to look here first? Because if you're not okay with losing that, don't ever think you're going to make that. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the PIC, the pilot in command of your portfolio. You literally have to look at this and acknowledge it and go, Wiz, pilot in command of my portfolio, I acknowledge that's the max potential loss in this trade. Not going to be happy if that happens, clearly, but I know that's the risk. I tell you, folks, when I tour the world and give my speeches and stuff, people are like, hey, man, I'm in this great trade on Alcoa. I'm like, how much can you lose? What are you talking about? It's up. It's not what I asked you. You always have to take a look at your risk first. If you're not, obviously you're not going to do backflips if you lose that, but we're going to talk about where we could eject in a second here, right? Step 7 in our trade plan, which I'm going to get to after this, is when we're going to get out of this thing. But I wanted you to look here first because that's where you have to look first. If you ain't okay with that, who cares what the max profit is? Now, assuming, and again, folks, this is based on 150 contracts. You want to trade 75 contracts because you got commission issues, you're at the wrong broker. Go a dollar wide, okay? Now we can look up here and bring our eyes up to Mr. Smiley and say, okay, so in a week and a half, I could potentially make 2,100 bucks. Yep. And underneath all of these are probabilities. So using at the money volatility in FXI options right now, there's a 67% probability of making 2,100 bucks. Okay. I like spreads like this because we make money 3 out of 4 ways in this trade. 75% of the time doing this type of trade, you can make money. How? Everybody see this dotted line right here? That's currently the price of FXI as I'm talking to you. How do we make money? Well, FXI can go down. Great. FXI can stay where it is, folks. And we make money. Look at this. FXI can even go up a little bit. You see that difference right there? As long as it stays below our break even of 42.14. Okay. The one way we lose money is what? FXI gets on a horse and gallops home and goes north. I just don't see that happening, man. I'm telling you, again, the main reason I'm selling into this pop today is because Beijing said we're not doing anything until you remove tariffs. Donald Trump has said we are never removing tariffs until you do some shit. So anyway, now the other reason I like a spread like this is what? Is because we make money every day that goes by. Well, Wiz, what if it's losing money? You're losing less money. Why? Because I'm not going to make your eyes glaze over here, but a Greek called theta. It's called time, right? Up here in Delray or Boca Raton, over there at the Lamborghini dealer, if you pull in there and drop 250 grand on your midlife crisis, what happens the second you pull out of that parking lot? Well, the dude goes back into his office laughing as he's counting all of your money. But check this out. What happens to you when you buy something? Look at that Greek down there. It's called theta, right? When you sell something, it's fantastic. The car dealer loves the fact that you did this, right? But when you buy something, it's time decay. As soon as you pull out of the parking lot, that car ain't worth If you drive down the block and your significant other calls and says, hey man, your midlife crisis is over, take the car back. Yes, dear. Hey man, can you buy this car back? Sure, for 200 grand. Whoa, I just paid 250 for it. Well, that's called theta. That's called time decay. And we love these type of spreads because if FXI is unchanged on the day, we make money. This is another wizism. Unched on the day equals time decay. That's the Greek theta called time decay. So we love these type of spreads. I love being the house. I love selling something, right? The MGM, Mandalay Bay, casinos don't look the way they look, folks, because they're charities and give away money, right? They sell. When you sell something, you like this. Now, as I briefed you, here's the SOP. When am I getting out of this trade? Outside of 7 days, 7, 8, 9. If I'm looking at a 70, 80, or 90% profit on the credit that I took in, I'm closing it. Inside of a week, 5, 4, 5, 6. That's the good. So now, folks, I knew this before I placed it, but before we place a trade, now we're on step 7 of our trade plan. When are we exiting from this trade? There's the good news. Now, can't give you trading advice, can't tell you what to do. You got to come up with your own SOP. Do you like that? Or I'm taking it to 100%. You can do whatever you want to do, folks. So let's take a look at the bad. This is easy math. Right? And it's funny because some people think flying off an aircraft carrier is complex and trading options might be complex. How do you battle complexity? With simplicity. Where would I maybe eject out of this trade? I double the credit that I took in. Well, I took in 14 cents. What's 14 times 2, folks? 28. So I would maybe eject from this trade if it went up to 28 cents. Now, for those of you who are sitting here like, oh man, I don't know how to do credit spreads, you're going to get an hour and a half training on just this tactic. You get 8 sessions on each tactic, and we take a deep dive. So I'm kind of going, like I said, if you don't feel like you're drinking from a fire hose this week, I'm failing in my job. But remember real quick, when you sell something, we want to keep all 14 cents. We want this trade to go to zero, to quote, expire worthless. If I wake up tomorrow and this thing's up at 20 cents, 22, whoa, that means FXI is going up for some reason. When it hits 28 cents, ladies and gentlemen, if it hits 28 cents, I take off my oxygen mask in the jet and I scratch my chin and I go, where's my trade plan? Okay, commit criteria. Here's why I got into this trade. Oh boy, those 2 sentences have changed. Eject. Don't even think about it. Pull the ejection handle, get out. So you don't take that max loss. Why do I say maybe eject? I just told you. If you look at your trade plan and it says, here's my 3 to 5 sentences why I got bearish on FXI, you know what? All these sentences are still valid. You stay in the airplane. Does everybody understand that? There are times when, and I'll brief members on this constantly, and I think I already said it with this trade, there's a high probability between now and next Friday, this trade is, quote, losing money. You don't lose money, you don't profit until you close the trade. Don't, and I'll say this tongue in cheek, don't prematurely eject. If you're the type of person who can't take a negative or some red on their trading screen, do me a favor and don't sign up. I'm going to try and change who you are, and it's not going to work. There's been many times, ladies and gentlemen, that on a Thursday before a trade expires, the thing's completely underwater, and by Friday's closing bell, it's at max profit. My current members can chime in here and tell you countless success stories of that, especially with volatility. Bullish on volatility, and Monday through Thursday, everything's fantastic, and then Friday afternoon, Donald Trump tweeted blah, blah, and the vol. It happens all the time. Stay disciplined. That's what I'm going to teach you here at Top Gun Options, okay? So check that out. Even though I kind of numbered them. I went through an entire trade plan. This is why it's called a brief, ladies and gentlemen. If any of you have heard, I don't know, on the Discovery Channel or History or something like that, and you've got to eavesdrop in on an air-to-air engagement, like a fighter engagement, it's eerily quiet. Or maybe the ones you've seen, there's a lot of yelling going on. You know why it's eerily quiet? If the flight is going as we briefed, you don't say anything. We only start talking over the radio when what? Something ain't going as briefed. So now with this trade, you know everything. There's no questions. I told you when I would potentially get out, outside of a week, inside of a week, or when I'd eject and cut my losses. Are there any other questions? Isn't this fantastic? This is how you need to be trading, and this is how we trade. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and all right. So filled on that one. Yeah. Whoever, Bob, you can trade with whoever you want. I trade over at TradeStation. I use E-Trade for our training because I love the tools now. TradeStation is a little clunky, and its options. Don't tell them I said this. Its options thing sucks. Their options platform sucks. But it being free is pretty damn cool. All right. What did I also want to talk about? I'm looking at a one-day trade here. Now, this is extremely tactical trading. I'm looking at a trade on the S&P 500. Let's take a look what macroeconomic data are coming out tomorrow. Maybe I'll do a Raytheon trade. Yeah, I'll probably do that instead of SPX. Eric, I'll answer that stuff at the end, man. People are posting like war and peace type of questions and comments. I need to stay on my timeline here. If you can hold really good and long questions towards the end, I'll cover that so I can cut my members out. They don't need to sit here and listen to all sorts of new people questions. These guys are paying, and I'm going to prioritize them. So we'll answer that stuff at the end. Tomorrow morning before market open, big numbers, retail sales and core retail sales. So you know what? Let's not do that SPX. Let's go with Raytheon. So tomorrow morning, folks, we're getting retail sales. We're going to see if the consumer is in fact alive and well, and that's going to be before market open. And then we also get business inventories and the National Association of Home Builders. Ooh, we'll get the budget balance. That's not going to be pretty. We get a Fed lieutenant speaking, and we get a Treasury number. So, I think the biggest thing that's going to happen tomorrow is the retail sales. Let me ask you a question. If they come in strong, what do you think the market's going to do? Well, you don't have to answer that. Here's what I'm getting at. If we have good macroeconomic data going into next Wednesday's Fed meeting, what's going to happen? Folks, I have predicted and ask all of our current members, or go look at the trades when you get your membership tomorrow. Right here was a Fed meeting that I said it will sell on the news. We absolutely made disgusting money there. Here's a Fed meeting where I said sell on the news. It took about 2-3 days, and then that happened. Fed meeting, sell, Fed meeting, sell, Fed meeting. What's he going to do? I absolutely disagree with Donald Trump that the Fed should be cutting interest rates. I think the Fed should be doing nothing, or are you ready for this? Raising interest rates. I don't think he needs to cut. But here's my point. Yeah, if we get good retail sales, the market might go up a little bit, but it might take a day for the market to go, crap. JP Morgan, what's wrong with this economy? I'm not talking about the idiot Democrats running for president that are trying to talk us into a recession. You can be talked into a recession. Group of famous people once said what? A lie repeated often enough becomes fact. So all these Democrats talking about how bad everything is. I've never seen an economy this great in my 50 years on the planet. Why? Somebody tell me. Why is the Fed cutting interest rates? Nobody's got a good reason. You know who doesn't have a good reason? And it's his job. Right here and right here, it was an embarrassing, It was an embarrassing press conference. It was so our Fed chief essentially is James Comey. For both of those press conferences, for like 30 minutes, he told us about how great everything was, followed by 2 minutes of why he's still cutting interest rates. It was like James Comey for 30 minutes telling this country in a nationally televised address that Hillary Clinton's a criminal, but in 2 minutes he said he's not going to do anything about it. It was a Jim Comey, Jerome Powell press conference. Couldn't agree more. The rate cut is already baked in. One of you guys, do me a favor, go look at the SIBO site with the Fed funds futures rate. I think it was 75% the other day. There's a 75% probability of a 25 bips cut. So, Carol, I'll say it again. Amazon is in solo Amazon. It's outside of full throttle. We're not going to talk about Amazon. Carol, if you have a question, you can go put that in the ready room. It's the last time I'm going to answer that. So let's do Raytheon instead of SPX. Towards the end, this is, so Kevin, if you didn't get this one, this is the SPX I did for tomorrow. The 30-10, 30-15 bear call spread. And Carol, quick reminder here, folks. If there's a bear call spread on Amazon, we already briefed when we would eject from it. I don't know what the questions are. This is why we do briefs, folks. I could get hit by a car tomorrow, and you should know exactly what to do in case. Johnny, 74.3%. Thank you for looking that up. Real quick review for current members, though. I did get filled on this one. This is a one-day SPX trade, the 30-10, 30-15. Okay, I'm not going to drop anchor on that because I want to talk Raytheon. This is a more, and somebody asking like, hey, don't you do further out in time trades? Welcome to this. We're going to do a further out in time trade because I do think we're going to see a rally out of Raytheon. Something's going to happen in the Gulf, folks, period. And if something happens in Syria with Turkey or whatever, that's going to boost the defense stocks. Absolutely could not be more bullish on Raytheon. So let's go out a couple weeks and do a Raytheon bull put spread. I want to cover November. So let's use the November 1st expiration 50-day moving average down here around 190. What's that? 190. I like the 190. I like the trade we have on that's expiring Friday. Let's see if there's any premium in a 192.5. 190. Nah, probably not. Let's take a look. And we might do an iron condor on this one. Well, yeah, it's way too much. We're going to have to go up a little bit here. All right, I like this one better. Let me take a look. Yeah, I'll probably have to do about 30 contracts. Yeah, this one's good. So yeah, I most likely would leg into an iron condor here and a range bound trade. But one of the reasons I'm leery about putting a cap on Raytheon is that we are one breaking news on the lower third of your TV away from the VIX going up 30%, and but it's going to be bullish for defense stocks. All right, so here we go. New trade, Raytheon, bull put spread, selling 30 of November 1st. Why? I just told you. I want to cover October. October is a shit show anyway. It's usually the most volatile month in the market. And by the way, Iran's going to do something. Take that to the bank. Selling the 195 puts. Wiz, you're wrong. Between now and November 1st, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Ganesh all came back to life, and the defense stocks went to zero. There's no more war. I'd love for that to happen. Would suck for this trade, but we're going to be hedged to the downside by buying these puts, right? These are the downside puts. So I'm bullish on Raytheon. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. This trade is called a bull put spread. Okay, let me grab a screenshot of this so I can put it on the member page. If you are not a member yet, you're not going to see this trade. In the old full throttles, I used to do triple the work and send you all these trades as potential new folks. Not doing that anymore. No offense, extra work on my part, and you're in here for free. So members, I will have this posted. Let's take a look at and remember, there's a little camera on the top of this thing, so you can have that one. Let's go ahead. Yeah, guys, I understand there's earnings coming up there. This isn't an earnings trade. This is a Iran trade. Okay, so I most likely wouldn't hold this through earnings. This is an Iran trade. My earnings were not part of my commit criteria. Let's go ahead and take a look at the max potential loss right around my SOP of not wanting to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. It's a little north of that. So we're risking 54 to potentially make 2,100 bucks. How do we make money in this trade? It's the exact opposite of the FXI one I just showed you. Raytheon can go up, which I think it's going to do. It can kind of hang out where it is, which is fine. It can even dip a little bit as long as it stays above our break even. And remember what I just showed you, folks. Look at Raytheon's chart versus the S&P 500. It just is. It doesn't move, man. It's its own. It is in its, easy for me to say, kind of in its own sphere, so to speak. Okay. Save as Raytheon 10-15 metric. Okay. I would try to get filled. Oh, I forgot to cover this with the FXI trade. I give a range in my alerts. I'm going to shoot for 76 cents plus or minus 6 cents, meaning I'd go as low as 70 and as high as 82. Okay. And then obviously double, I'll stay at 70. Double the credit that I take in is maybe where I would eject. Sam, I just answered that about earnings. Need to listen up. All right, let me fire this because I want to stay on time here. I just 3 minutes ago, Sam, I talked about what I'm doing about earnings. All right. Yeah, I'll show you the. I would not. The reason I'm kind of glossing over this, folks, is this is a very aggressive trade. This one-day S&P 500 trade. This expires tomorrow afternoon. Okay. I'm risking 59 to make 17. So I would not do this one if you do not know what you're doing. I think, this pop is way, way overblown. The threat to that trade, ladies and gentlemen, are strong retail sales. But let's take a look at this. So core retail, whenever you see the word core, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar, it means X something, excluding something. This is X autos. So we'll get core retail sales, and then we will get regular retail sales at the same time that they come out. But look at this. Last month it was 0.4. They're actually looking for a slowdown in retail sales, folks. So we'll see. We're looking for an increase in core and then a slowdown in overall. So it's going to be very, very interesting here. So like I said, core means X, excluding automobiles, and then regular retail sales. But they're forecasting a slowdown from 0.4 to 0.3. So it should be an interesting morning. Okay. All right. Let me go through my notes. JP Morgan. And the other thing, I hate getting bullish on this, but you really have to smoke the hopium sometimes. At this Fed meeting next week, so right now, ladies and gentlemen, the Fed has announced essentially not QE4. What do I mean by that? Between now and I don't have the date, $60 billion in treasury purchases. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be a great life if you could buy your own debt? Oh, you're in debt right now, Wiz. Don't worry, I got my HP printer over here in my office. How freaking ridiculous. But we kind of have QE going on. So that might actually be kind of bullish. Exactly, Terrence. They're kind of easing without easing. And then the other thing that might be kind of good or bad for later in the week is the Brexit. I got to be honest with you, I stopped paying attention to it. How's this work? So this should tell you that there's deep states all over the world. We, the British people, say we want to leave the EU. British politicians. You people aren't that smart. Just, yeah, whatever. What? That's why we have a Second Amendment. We, the people, say this, but the politicians say, well, we're smarter than you, so no. Excuse me? So I stopped caring about the Brexit, to be honest with you. After we made our 22 grand on the vote, I just don't. I haven't even been following it. And I don't think it's going to be that big of an impact for our markets, to be honest with you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong date there. The Fed meeting is in a couple weeks, folks. It's like the 20, whatever it is, 2 weeks, 29th or something, 29. It's on a Wednesday. So, yeah, it's not next week. It's 29th and 30th. You bet. Thanks. So. All right, guys, let me kind of review what's going on. Let me take a screenshot of everything we did today so I can put that at the top of the replay email. Let's go open and filled. And then current members, you guys are cleared off. You guys can all bolt, and I'll see many of you tomorrow if you're in the accelerated retirement program. The AR live trade brief will be tomorrow. So potential new members, you got exactly 6 minutes to ask me what you want to ask me, because I respect people's time. It's called a brief. It ain't called a long. So I will now answer people's questions. You bet, man. You're welcome. Yeah. Thanks, man. It was a good brief. Just ask me. So, Eric, what's this long one? Regarding outside of 7 days, exit at 70, 80, 90% of max profit. How do you decide 70 versus 80? And yeah, so Eric answered the second part of your question. Yeah, that's just for credit spreads. I have different rules of engagement. I have different SOPs for debit spreads than I do credit spreads for double verticals and all sorts of different trades. So there's a different SOP. How do I decide 70, 80, or 90? I decide at that moment. Like today, the Raytheon trade that I just showed you is up 79%, right? This trade's up 79%. That's good enough for me. How do I decide that? I don't. I look at if it's outside of a week. If it's up 70, I close it. If it's up 80, I close it. If it's up 90, I close it. So you gotta kind of figure that out on your own. Natalia, I don't trade TLT. Just not my thing. Michael, thank you for offering this opportunity. Good things. You bet, Mike. Scott, what about gold? Other Scott, my new Twitter handle after losing all my other Twitter accounts is Susie SFF. I've been thrown off of Twitter. God forbid you. I can't stand these social media platforms. It's the devil we have to deal with. I can't wait till the president is out of office and goes and starts his own Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and stuff. Just can't stand any of it. So that's my new Twitter. All right, let me a lot of good questions here. What about for novice trader, what are steps to learn? CJ, great question, man. Here's what you're going to do to learn. As soon as you become a member, underneath this member content tab, there's the full throttle training. Ladies and gentlemen, there is you're going to get 8 sessions, man. And guess what they start with? We take a building block approach here at Top Gun Options. I didn't go to flight school and walk in the first day and all of a sudden I'm flying the F-18 Hornet. We start with session 1, talking about my trading methodology, our trade plan. Where do I get my intelligence, right? As I told you earlier, some of my intelligence is just from contacts from Chicago, Hong Kong. I have military, state, alphabet soup sources, but I'm going to show you open source stuff because somebody asked me, how long does it take me to prepare for these briefs? I mean, if I wasn't doing this for you all, I'd be kind of doing this on my own. So, whether I'm sitting on the couch watching hockey last night, I am looking at the Wall Street Journal and doing stuff. But so session 1 and then session 2, we have options basics. So we take a building block approach, ladies and gentlemen. Session 3, covered calls, collars, cash secured puts, bullish spreads, bearish spreads. So folks, each one of these sessions is about an hour and a half to an hour. It's at night, 7 o'clock to 8:30. We get a glass of wine. We sit here and we shoot the shit. And I teach, I train, man. CJ, when you become a member tomorrow, you're also going to get access to 3 of my manuals, man. These things are worth their weight in gold. I wrote the damn thing. I reread them every once in a while to pick something up. So CJ, once you get on board, you're going to get to download your manuals and you're going to start watching these training sessions. I've had people here literally since the first full throttle 8-9 years ago, and they come to every new 8 sessions because no matter what, a bear call spread that we covered today was a bear call spread 10 years ago. It'll be a bear call spread 10 years from now. But you know what changes? The content about what we're talking about. So when I do these full throttle trainings, if I'm talking about bear call spreads, I'm covering current stuff, that's going on. So that's how you're going to learn here, CJ. And we kind of do the demo do approach like we do in the military. I demonstrate in these live trade briefs. You go do, right? So very long answer to your short question, but we got all the training materials for you. Paul, do you have a site that we can access to look at your various services, determine which would be the most advantageous? Paul, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to brief that live. I I mean, I do have a web page where you're going to be able to grab your membership from that explains everything. I'm not going to open up the doors now, to be honest with you. I don't. I fire the starting gun everybody at the same time to open the 50 slots. But Paul, I like doing that live, so we can talk through this stuff. Eric, I'm a new member trying to find out where the rules are or what they are for various types of option strategy. They're not, Eric, first strike. There's no such thing as an option strategy. Employed, it's all in here, Eric, and it's all in the manuals. Okay, so you need to, Eric, you should have all your manuals and you should be watching all these briefs. Yeah, exactly. So Tamara's been here for about 3-4 years, and there you go. Every session, every sit rep, every training session, I watch and rewatch, learn something new with each one. So take it from Tamara. She's got some great lessons learned. All right, let me. We're at the bottom of the hour. Let me see if I can. Sam, Raytheon question above. What's your question on Raytheon? Where are we? I don't see it. There's 500 people in here, Sam. So get in the ready room and ask me. I don't know what the question is on Raytheon. If you can repost it, great. If not, we got to get going here. Let me see if there's any other. What about Hank? We'll talk about volatility tomorrow. Tomorrow is our accelerated retirement brief at 1 o'clock. We definitely have to take a look at volatility. Sam, I answered that, man. It isn't an earnings trade. It's an Iran trade. Watch the replay. I already answered that question. I answered it 3 times, as a matter of fact. Okay. I think we're good, and we went over by a minute. I like respecting people's time. Folks, this is what's funny is I restricted access to only 1,000 people registered, and it still turns into a zoo. I get it. We have a lot of people. Our company's growing. We have a lot of folks, but I'm never going to scale above where I am right now. I love doing my motivational speaking. I'm starting a charity, so it ain't about the money for me. It's about training people how to do this. As I told you last night, nobody cares more about your money than you. And this is not tough to do. It just takes a little bit of time to get your airspeed, on your wings, and then you can do some good work. And I'm going to tell you something real quick. Let me just take one more minute. And my marketing guy hates when I say this. And Mike, you don't have to send me the text because I think I have it from the last. I don't want you here forever. I love the fact that we've had people here for years. I've become friends with them. We have a nice tight-knit squadron. But at the end of the day, folks, you don't go to Top Gun forever, right? It's just like people don't understand, like you're not a Blue Angel forever. You're there for 2 years and you're back to the fleet. So at Top Gun, when I went to Top Gun, you went to the mountain, we call it. You went to the desert. You climbed up in your flowing robes. You got all the knowledge of the current tactics and everything that's going on in the world. And then what did you do? You left and you went back to your squadron and you imparted that knowledge to everybody else. You taught. So nothing pleases me more than a year and a half from now, 6 months, whenever it is, you shoot me an email like, dude, I got this, man. I'm airborne. Give me a Top Gun patch and I'm going out to the fleet. Because you know what you guys do? You end up telling people at cocktail parties, go check out my buddy Wiz. He taught me how to trade options. So I'd love you here forever. We'll end up doing some live events and becoming friends. But know that I'm here to train you so you can get better and go and do this on the end. Okay. All right. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. All right, guys. The replay, Natalia. Last answer. Go.topgunoptions.com/FT replay. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I'm going to work on some trades. It takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes since we went a little late to render this recording, and it will be posted right here. This is last night's brief. If this is your first brief in Full Throttle, watch last night's brief as I'm getting ready to post today's replay, okay? For the members, give me about 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to post all of the new trades that we covered today on the member page, okay? So those will be up here in a couple minutes. Awesome. Thanks for all the kind words. So, and I'm not being rude, folks, when I'm just not I'm not opening up the doors yet. I love the enthusiasm. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I'm going to brief you on how you can get airborne. And I just showed you a Raytheon trade that we closed for about $2,600, along with $4,400 from last week with Brazil and volatility. What's that? 7-8 grand in 2 weeks in this portfolio alone. $8,000 would have, hell, that pays for half of a lifetime membership, folks. So tomorrow we're going to open up the doors to 50 folks, 50 motivated individuals, and then we're going to get airborne. Okay. All right, Carol, I appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day, folks. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. And I'll get the replay posted here shortly. And I'll see many of you tomorrow for Accelerated Retirement. And we're going to open the doors to 50 new members. I'll see you tomorrow.